arms in prayer. A moment to scan down from the bottom of the feet, reaching out to the legs, relaxing into the hips. Relaxing into the spine, shoulders down to the palms, softening the face. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out. Another deeper breath in. Breathe out. Let's connect with an Om chant. Breathe in. Gratitudes. Namaste. Okay, so usually when I start early in practice, I would be going into a little bit of movement to mobilize, which I believe, because of the limitation of time, I'll skip for today and come straight into the practice. So I'll be working on, first of all, with the upper body, spine, some work on the shoulders, and then we go down to the lower body. Beginning up with a block. So we go for a reclined position. This is going to be 2 minutes on every forms of the body. We'll be first working with the thoracic, upper back, then going into the middle lower back, the lumbar area where you might need a cushion, and then at last we are going to go in for the sacral stretch. So choose either the lifted elevated point, level 1, which is actually quite strong. Level 2 fits best for most of the people. Level 3, if you are a beginner and you just want it to be restorative. So I would choose, or I would start with that level 3, the lowest point, and then get into it. However, if you're choosing a level 2, you can go in for this form in a level 2 with the first block underneath the chest and the block elevated up to rest your head. So I'll give you a demo first. Setting my block right underneath the scapula, just lie down and I set the other block in. So resting my head on the block. So this can be a preferred form. Alternately, you can just use one block. If you're a great backbender, if you have lots of range, you might probably not need the second block at all. Okay, so moving on and lying down. Let us hold this for 2 minutes. We can turn up the fan. So if you would like to choose keeping the palms just on the ribs, or to stretch them out on the sides, or to raise those arms over your head. Consciously surrender the legs from the hips to the toes. As you breathe out, point the body down. More than half of the hold is done. See if that influences you to choose any other options or to modify. Checking into your breath for the last few seconds. That's the bell, so it means that the time is done. As you're coming out without any rush, let the hands come and support the weight of the head. Use your hands to lift the head up, bringing the chin closer into the chest. And then use your palms next to the hips to push and come all the way back. Moving on to the lumbar curve. Now the lumbar curvature doesn't feel too comfortable just with block, and this is where it is good to use probably a folded towel, or if you have a pillow. So I would use a pillow over here, putting in and just getting into a reclined form. I'm going to have my hips sitting right across the end of the pillow, and I would allow this curve of the pillow to take or support the curvature of my spine. Again, if you have got a longer torso, feel free to rest a block right above the pillow so you can relax more easily. I have a shorter torso, so probably I won't use that. I'm setting in. Reset the position. Check that where you're feeling that lumbar support. Going in for 2 minutes again. And although yin is a static practice, it doesn't mean that we are not supposed to move, because movements helps us to discover more deeper aspects of our physical body. It helps us to learn to know more about the changes which we might be aspiring for, and the body feels good to be in. So feel free to change. And maybe you also want to check how it feels like if the body rolls slightly higher up. If the hips are off the ground, does it feel a lot more natural, more grounded? Although the hips are not grounded, but we are gravitating the upper part of the torso more. Remember to relax the toes all the way down to the hips. A few more seconds to go. Using 2 blocks or an elevated surface is fine if you're looking for a bit more of elevation around the hips. No rush. Make your way out the same way you did on the first practice we did. Supporting the head, sliding the hips a little bit down, bringing it up. Using the hands, pull yourself up. Take your cushions aside. lumbar, rather the sacrum after the lumbar. Second level if you're new to the yin, topmost level if you are having enough curvature. So lie down, lift the hips, bring in the block in a horizontal form. Horizontal, the reason being sacrum is a small part. And if you're able to set it up well, the sacrum point really rests very firmly on that horizontal edge of the block rather than making it vertical forward facing. And that might be a bit more pokey on your coccyx at elbow. Time starts, let's go for 2 minutes. And do not rush to get deeper. In order to deepen, choose to walk the legs until the knees gets almost straight. 60% to begin, probably going until 90% until the end of the time. Notice that your legs aren't engaged. You're learning how to surrender. There isn't any yang forces right now. And that doesn't mean that there cannot be any yang forms or engagements when we are doing yin. It just depends from posture to posture. When we can completely surrender in, there is no reason why we would like to engage. Let the gravity do the work. Maybe extension of the legs a bit more. Maybe stay there. Without any rush, step back the feet, take the block aside, bring the hips down, give a gentle hug to your legs. Take a gentle right side turn, come up and sitting. Let's go for shoulders. We'll be working on 2 dimensions. There are 4 different dimensions of shoulder. We'll just be focusing on 2 today. Adduction, horizontal adduction, horizontal abduction. So, beginning the practice by coming into a Sphinx pose. Now, insert your left arm underneath the right armpit. So bringing it at a 3 o'clock. Extend the right palm forward at a 12. Now your left leg bends and comes up in the shape of a frog. So your right arm extends forward, your left arm underneath the ribs, your left leg bends like a frog. And if you are super tight, probably this can be challenging. So might as well want to use a block to rest your forehead. I need that. But for many of you, you may just feel comfortable to rest your forehead down to the floor. Let's go for 2 minutes. Reduce the intensity, Then straighten the left leg back. Take that half Bikasana or half frog pose away from the form of this pose. If you want to increase the intensity, walk your right palm more forward. So your right hand really has got no resistance at all. And try dipping the right armpit down towards your left elbow. Dip the right armpit down towards the left elbow if you're looking for more. Do the reverse exactly if you are looking for less. You might have a little sense of numbness, which isn't a big deal. Few more seconds. Begin by taking that frog away and then walk your right palm slightly back, create an elevation, take the left arm outside. That was a long 3 minutes for me. Let's switch the side. So take your right arm under, your left arm extends at a 12, and your right leg comes out in a half frog. Let the timer begin. Not the posterior delts. It's also stretching those mid-trapeze area. Partly the lats. Remember to take away that half frog if you're taking in a lot over there. Or if you want more, extend the left arm more front. Sink the left ribs and the armpit down towards the right elbow. Sink the frog deeper. More than half of it is down. Relax a bit more. Relax a bit more. Sink the chest a bit more. Relax the muscles. Relax the whole body down. Take the frog out. Walk the left hand back. Take out the right arm. Have a block with it aside. Rest for a deep breath. So let's work on the reverse angle. Set your left palm in a cactus. Use the right palm to roll across. You might again want to use a block. Now from there, your left arm in cactus, your right palm in front of the chest. bend your right foot, take your left leg across. So your left foot is coming in for a half lotus position and your right foot is just behind the left knee. Rest the forehead down. Without a block, it might again be a stronger practice. Feel free to keep this point or take up your right foot into a full lotus pose, your choice. And then rest your right palm on the right knee. And then you want to push the right knee away from the body. The structure of the lotus pose stabilizes the form of our body, the torso as it stays on the sideline. Lessen the intensity, probably taking that 90-degree angle of your left arm away, so lessening that angle. And also bringing the ribs a little bit closer towards the floor. Do the reverse if you are looking for more. And as well trying to have the torso pushing more backwards, using the right palm support to push into the right knee, to roll up and back. Few more seconds. Slowly suspend out your half lotus or full lotus. Straighten the legs back, and that will offer space for the body to roll on the belly, and that releases the left hand. Bring the left hand next to the hips. Take a couple of breaths here. Okay, let's switch. So the right arm comes in a cactus, block is right in front, roll the body on the left sideline, and taking in a half lotus or getting into a full form, depends on you. So there is another way of doing this pose. I should have mentioned it in the previous round, just to keep that right leg extended and loose, and to have the left foot crossing over. It's a lot more lighter. However, if you chose doing that half lotus form, keep it that way. Time starts. Taking up the full lotus, or just staying back there. My right side is rather tighter, so I prefer to keep it a little gentle on this side.
seconds. See if you want to improvise, if you want to add or alter. Taking away your lotus or half. Go down in the belly. One side. Right hand, left hand, both comes next to the hip. Rest for a couple of breaths. Come up into sitting. So I chose those two dimensions of the shoulder work because extension and flexion of our arms, this two angle, we do it quite frequently in most of the classes, but abduction and adductions are something which really goes deeper into our muscle groups on those muscles which we are using during our yang practices. Another important muscle group is our hip flexor. We'll be doing a low lunge, so get a block. Step the right foot forward. Stay low with your hip. So this probably would be pretty much it for some of us. And check that your block is on the tallest side. If you have tighter flexors, or you can turn it down, so choose and decide. If you're looking for a stronger choice, insert a block underneath your left knee. And that elevates the femur bone higher and hence increases the intensity of the stretch. 2 minutes. Sensitive kneecap, you might also want to insert a folded towel underneath the knees to act as a cushion. A couple of things which you can do to get deeper into the form. First of all, check that the spine is really long, so you don't want to have a fold. The spine inclines, that probably would be an easier option, and if you want to choose so consciously, that's alright. Keeping the spine long elongates the hip flexor, bringing the left hip bone forward, and maybe even pushing the tailbone to the front. Those three actions would emphasize on a lot more stronger stretch. Some of us might as well grab the back foot, bring the heel into the hip. Grab the back foot, bring the heel into the hip using the left arm. Go ahead if that feels good. Last few seconds, around 20 seconds to go. Check if you would like to get deeper or simply stay. Lean the torso a bit forward and then press into the block to lift the hips up. So you're actually using the arms to push back rather than activating those hip flexor. Now take the block aside, the back side of the block. Straighten the front leg, flex the front foot,
And then fold forward. So back legs hip flexor, front legs hamstrings. Stay down 2 minutes. Again, walking the palms forward will decrease that angle in between the torso and the thighs, getting deeper. Walking the palm back and up reduces the angle to make it easier. If you need blocks to stay higher, that's fine. If you want to go into full splits to recede more, that's fine. It's your practice. Less than a minute left. Lengthening the spine creates more stretch on the hamstring. Rounding the back opens up those intervertebral columns more. So both are done for a specific reason. If you're not looking for more stretches, round it and let the back feel the stretch. If you're in half splits, if you're in full, come back up to half. For halves, just bend the front leg and take your time. Step back. Sit back in a virasana with a straight spine. Take a moment to connect to your left hip flexor and the right hamstring, and a few breaths in these muscle groups. Let's go for the next side. So again, a block to elevate the surface, left foot lunge. And your right knee either on the floor or on a block. And see what you're doing with your right palm. It can be anything actually. It doesn't have to be anything particular. But I like to keep my right palm on top of the thigh to have a support. And this palm also helps me to stay more upright, more erect. Tweaking on those small points, spine long, right hip bone forward, tailbone lengthening front, scooping in slightly. And then the back foot, grabbing into it with the right palm, bring the heel into the hip as your final option if you want to get deeper. Less than a minute to go. Soften the right leg more. Soften the right thigh, soften the right knee more. Think think of the hip getting heavier here. So let it sink a little more. Heavier hip, soft leg. Press into your left block, lift up the hip, take the block back aside. Then go ahead to straighten the front leg. Lengthen, breathe in, fall down, breathe out, 2 minutes. The start of the practice remains simple and easy. One-fourth down. See if you wish to get any further into those. Maybe full splits if that was a choice. A minute more to go. Soften the hands there. Let the torso feel heavier as it sinks more towards the thigh. Check if the length on the spine feels good. And just keep it naturally slightly rounded to let the back muscles stretch at the same time. Full splits, come back up in half, shift the body forward, and step back the left leg. Your pose, spine straight, closed eyes, a couple of deep breaths. Right, so extend out the legs. You can face forward or still remain on the side. So we worked on the spine, we worked on the shoulders, we worked on the hamstrings, the hip flexor. Now we'll be combining the practice together with outer glutes as well as the groin, and that should complete the overall major joints of the body. Starting up with a butterfly. So meet the soles of the feet together. This is a combination of the outer glutes plus the inner groins. Grab the toes. Now if you want a deeper form of a butterfly, insert a block in between. So that will push the point of the knees further away from you, and hence the stretch increases significantly. I personally like it without it because it still gives me a deep feeling. This is for students, those who feel like a butterfly is effortless for you. Let the knees sink down, take an inhale, exhale, begin to bend forward. Two minutes.
Less than a minute left. See if that makes you to feel any difference in the flow. You want to get deeper or less deep. Soul back up slow. Give a hug to your legs. Step the feet forward. Diamond shape, so making it more like a square. And this is less on groin, goes more into the outer hip plus spinal flexion. So you can lean down straight away or have a block and rest the feet up on a block. This is significantly a bit more stronger. Horizontal line feels better, gives more surface. Take a breath and then sink down when you're ready. So I like to take my hands from underneath and grab in the block and then bring my forehead down. 3 minutes. Left. Feel free to change into any versions of your practice as long as you're working with similar muscle groups. Minute to go. Beginning practice begins to feel the stretch into the muscles first, and with a greater length of hold, that sensation sinks into the joints. And that is exactly what we are trying to target, the ligaments. So through the muscles, it seeps down into the ligaments. Hence the entire intention of a longer hold. Use your palm support to walk out so spine doesn't do much. Bring the legs close to you. We go back to one more butterfly.
Lock this time. Unless you feel butterfly is a challenging pose, you want to go for a normal version. Let the knees sink and then exhale, bend forward. 2 minutes. Check that the amount of forward fold would decrease compared to the last round. The knees would be more elevated. And there isn't any necessity of trying to push the knees down or trying to go back to the same depth of your torso in respect to the legs done in your first round. It's to receive the feedback from the toes. One more minute. Last 30 seconds. See if that changes your perception of the pose to go less or more deep. Push down into the floor, sit up. Take the block aside, hug the legs. Alright, straighten the legs out. Lie down on your back. A gentle hug to your right leg. Take the right foot across your left knee. Recline twist, 2 minutes. Now here is an option. You can choose either a recline twist here or any twist of your choice. Any twist of your choice. Surrender. Let the legs feel heavy. If you're choosing any other twist, it might be sitting, reclining. Connect with the spine. Let our other muscle group assist you to get the spine to work. And then try letting go more. Last minute. The eyes be closed wherever you are. Exhale to feel the knees sinking.
Return back out, safe and slow. Release. The other side. And go. And after you have twisted one side for that length, when you're entering into the other side, it'll feel a lot different. There'll be a sense of a greater resistance than what you feel naturally. And respect that few first seconds to let it just take time for the body to feel natural. The knee might be pretty high up. Again, if you're choosing other pose, likewise, you'll be feeling more resistance. Last few seconds to go. Swing those legs. Gentle and slow coming back out. Give a hug to the legs. Take a right turn, come up into sitting. Sit straight with the legs crossed. Arms in prayer. My gratitude to all of you for joining in today. Namaste.